All right, here we are for another session of the Rich Life Projects, and today, one of the specials of Newcastle Knights and the royalty, Newcastle's only son, Danny Buderus. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, mate. Great to be on.
Oh, mate, it's great to have you on. It's an honour to have you on, to be honest. What has been happening in the Danny Buderus life?
Well, plenty.
At present.
Plenty, yeah. I'm still at the Knights, which is great. I'm very privileged to still be here. A lot of change at the club. I've just walked you through our new facility, actually.
Amazing facility.
So that's good. I was a general manager for the last 2.5 years. Got through the COVID period. Now Peter Parr has come on board, and I am out of that hot seat, thank God.
Look at him, he's so excited. Yeah. I'm out of there, brother.
It was a tough, especially with the experiences I've got. I never thought I'd ever be a manager of some sort, let alone being in a management role.
So I'll get into that later on. Yeah, going from football, like the actual player, then to coaching, then to manager, that sort of stuff.
Mate, I've done pretty much everything than just clean the toilets here at the Knights.
That's probably next, because you got to go into the boss's office.
That's right. I'm in there in half an hour, so I've got to clean toilets.
You'll clean the toilets, mate. It's the only thing you haven't done. So let's go back into the young life of Danny Buderus, born in Taree.
Yes.
Growing up, what was growing up for Danny Buderus like?
Yeah, looking back, growing up in Taree, I'm privileged to grow up in Taree. I reckon a lot of people leave Taree after they grow up, but when you look at it from a point of view of adolescence and playing sport and school opportunities and different things, I think Taree has a rich history in sport. You got a big river that flows through it. You got a beach out 20 minutes away in Old Bar, and living on the coastline there. So played a lot of sport. Played footy since I was 4. And then jumped into BMXing. Never was allowed to play cricket. Mum and Dad
did you watch the movie Rad?
Yes.
Oh, mate, that's what got me pumped on the old
BMX Bandit.
Oh,
mate, yes, that was me. So I was into that.
You think you could jump over every jump?
Did pretty much everything in growing up in Taree. So went to Chatham High and then left there about 95 in year 11 to come down to Newcastle. So I left home at 15, which big call for mum and dad, but it's paid dividends, which is great.
Yeah. And because I've had a couple of the boys on, obviously Aku, Iwate and all that, and the same sort of things, the same stories, even Robbie Davis leaving home at like 14 and 15 years of age.
Yeah.
I mean, one for parents, but obviously they had the confidence in going, righto, well, you're going to what you love to do is play rugby league. Was it leaving Taree and going straight to the rugby league?
Yep, very much so. So I came down here to finish my schooling. So I went to St Francis Xavier. I was obviously a public school up there at Chatham High. She's a quality school. You got to know how to get around the place a little bit. And then I came and put a tie on and went to a Catholic school.
Yeah,
so huge change. Lived with a family out of Belmont. They had 2 girls, same sort of age as me. It was all totally changed. I've got a brother, brother Brock, who, so it was a big change. But in saying that, I've got a daughter now who's 16, and I look at her sometimes going, I left home by now.
I know.
So,
and then you think back, would I, if she had a career or something in a sport at her age now, the thoughts go through your head, would I let her go and do it?
Yeah, 100%. And that was in the back of my mind sometimes. And I knew that my mum gave up a lot of time with a child, so I was pretty obvious that it was obvious that I didn't want to let her down. So that was a big thing when there was choices to be made, and you may have to make choices at 16, 17 about going to training, going out, hanging out with mates.
Bit crazy, isn't it, when you're at that age? Because even now we look back at the 15 and 16-year-olds and go, they don't know yet what they're doing. They can't make that decision.
Not fully developed, mate, that's for sure. Brain and physical. But
then you think back to your day when sent off at 15.
Yeah. No, it's a big call. It was a big call. And, that's why I made every post a winner, really. So whenever I trained, and I had some really good support from some people that were in the team, but lived out Belmont Way, Swansea. I ended up buying a car to get around. I got my license a year early.
Yeah.
So at 16, because you lived away from home, I could get my license at 16. But I had to get it on the first go. Otherwise, you don't get it. So it was a bit of pressure.
Bit of pressure there.
So I was off. I remember Owen Craigie lived down the road, big OC. So we walked from Charlestown to Belmont, where we lived one day, and I said, I'm never doing this again, because we couldn't afford money to get a cab or bus, I think. So I got to end up getting a car a year later, and that changed the keys to the city once you get your license in your car.
100%, 100%. Yeah, because I was talking to obviously Hoyo, and he was the same. When you're starting off from that age, you got no money, so you just really get, going on an oily rag, trying to just make sure you're going through life. Obviously, Hoyo's oily rag was a little bit dirtier than anyone else's, but
dripping.
Yeah. But when you got no money, but the dream is there.
Yes.
Obviously, you're going to school. Obviously, you got to perform at school.
Yep.
Then you get to the stage where your work ethic, you go, fuck, I've got to play rugby league. This is my life. I want it to be my life. Yeah. When you left school, when was that time you're at Xavier College?
Yep.
Were you in the schoolboys or the Knights juniors? And
so what happened, I came down and played SG ball, which was under 16s at the time. So I trialled, let's go back a little bit. I trialled, I was a Dragons man, mad Dragons fan. Yeah, I love the Dragons.
You won't say that.
Because I've got a lot of family at Hurstville down in Cogra, down that way. So I'd go down there every Christmas and I watch the Dragons and love the Dragons. So I said, wow, I wouldn't mind playing for them one day. So I went and had an open trial down at Cogra in end of 94, and I didn't get picked. I didn't even hardly touch the ball. The week later, had an open trial for the Knights at out there at Toronto.
Yeah.
And started footy at 8 in the morning, finished in 5 in the arvo. So just flogged with footy, so much footy. Anyway, got offered an opportunity and a scholarship right there on the spot. And I took it. And then I had become a Newcastle Knight. And then I came down probably 6 months later. And I had a cousin that lived at Merewether, so I went to his house for a couple of days.
What a terrible spot to
Great
go
spot.
and live.
Yeah, Stanley Street it was, 13 Stanley Street. I still remember it, and stayed there for a little bit. But the first thing we did, I jumped on his bike, and both of us had a bike, and we rode over here to, which was called International Sports Stadium, IC at the time, Marathon Stadium.
Yeah.
And just looked around. And it was, back in the day, you could go and have a look, and it was like the old Field of Dreams. And went, wow. And that's that little bit of moment. I went, wow, it'd be cool to run out in front of this one day. So,
I bet.
And then, I was finishing school off at St Francis Xavier. And then my big ambition was to make the Aussie Schoolboys in 95, which I was lucky enough to do that from there. Yeah. So schoolboy footy back then was the Commonwealth Bank Cup.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That was big.
So we got beat by Parramatta Marist, I reckon, in the quarterfinals. And still remember that. That was a big day for St Francis Xavier, and two big schools going at it. And Owen Craigie was in our team, Jared O'Doherty, Daniel Quinn.
Was Tamana Tahu?
Nah, Tamana was a Cardiff boy.
Was he? Okay,
Yeah. So
right.
we missed out on progressing through the semi-finals, sort of period into the finals for the Com Cup. But lucky enough to make the Aussie Schoolboys.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
Bit of an experience there coming out of that. But so you get into, I think it was the first sort of round of getting accepted in. When was your first? Debut was 1997, I think.
Yeah, 97.
What was the signing like back then? Did they just go, "Here's fucking, you get $500 a game, mate," or what was the sort of sign-on fee? Not something like today's, a little bit different, but
came down in 95, played full year of SG ball, which is about 18 rounds, and then went and played a little bit of President's Cup. So I'm only 16 and played President's Cup in 21s. That was pretty big to even get asked. So what you do at senior footy, President's Cup, reserve grade, first grade, you'd always stand by. So you'd play and then they'd ask you to stand by. And that was like, I must have played good. I stood by. So I stood by for President's Cup and got on. And I broke my leg actually just before I went over I had 10 weeks to get ready to go over to Australian Schoolboys over to England. That's where the tour was, making the schoolboy. So I broke my leg playing President's Cup. So I said, the tour's off. But that was all I wanted to do at the time. But I was lucky enough to play President's Cup. And then I got an opportunity in 97 to have my debut against the Crushers, which was a team that probably not many people have heard of. No. But definitely become an addiction. I was about 18, nearly 19-year-old. And it was mad
still crazy when you think about, you get up to that level, but again, the levels of the kids these days, and when I say kids, the 17s, 16s, and then they're playing their first game for NRL, and NRL's no just park football, it's the top of the range at that level. The dream, like when you run out, obviously you're a St George lover, but you've signed with Knights, running out to the Newcastle Knights crowd in 97, and that was the year they won, I think, the grand final as well.
Yep.
What's that? Walk me through. What's that like when you go, fuck, I'm here, I'm only 18, like a pinch.
It was. Well, you look, I remember I ran on, because you can only run on when you've got the ball. I ran on and I could see Robbie Davis got the ball and he just got flexed. Just bounced off something, but he got back up and went, holy shit, here I am. I'm here. I'm here in this moment and here it is. So, everything was obviously a lot quicker, a lot faster. But it's to see what was happening in that game and then it become an addiction, like I said, and then to see what the boys did in 97.
Yeah,
I stood by and I was like a training sort of
partner,
crash test dummy, I guess you could say. I played probably Jason Taylor in training for a long time, just big boys just running at me. So for the rest of the year, and then I got to experience how they trained, how they prepared. I was a pretty quiet kid.
Yeah.
So I was a 5'8", sort of never a hooker, 5'8", sort of fullback around that area. So I was watching the Johnses. And this is one thing that has to be said about footy back then. Everyone's very young these days now playing first grade or
100%.
grade. Back then, reserve grade was hard.
Yeah.
Like reserve grade was like, if you can get through reserve grade, well done, you get your chance. You earn your stripes.
Was that because all the older guys who were hard-nutted went back to reserve because they obviously weren't playing fast or whatever else in the top league?
Yeah.
So when you go back, then that's your sort of like your apprenticeship going through the reserve grade.
Yeah, and it was stacked. Those teams were stacked. There's so much depth through all clubs, through first grade, reserve grade, 21s. And even 21s was like hard, really hard. And it's different now. The whole pathways to playing NRL is different. But back then, it was like if you earn your stripes, you have to get up there. And once you get up there, you just don't want to go back. And there was plenty of, 97 to see the players in the town win that competition. I was like, wow, I want to wake up every minute and just fucking be a part of that.
That would have been, because I was talking to Robbie Davis about it, the fucking crowds that were, lined up along the highway and, just that experience. Were you in amongst that team when they won the grand final at that stage?
Yeah, so I was sitting in the grandstand, not in the players' dugout, but I just still remember that the final siren when Joey went blind and Mark Hughes reckons he should have passed it to him. He was open.
I know. Hughes always says that.
I can't believe they passed it to Albie. Like I was open. But anyway, I just remember all beer, got showered in beer and I just took off. I was there with my brother, a few of my mates and different things. I just took off. I just wanted to be a part of the group.
Wow.
I was part of the group and
were you allowed like in the sheds and that after?
Just experience the whole thing. I was going to say crazy.
That just to feel the buzz and just the fucking partying and
and that's where I just hope the modern day Newcastle Knight gets to experience something like that because
100%.
It's just they don't know how good that and both the town and the team once they're humming there's no better place to play footy and as much and then the crowd's ready to cheer. They've had some real heartache for a long time but back in 97 I think everyone starts looking back there a lot but we've got to start looking forward.
I know. Everyone goes they were the moments
yeah that's right.
So you're in the sheds. I mean, you got all the boys cheering and carrying on. Did you follow the path of the parties?
Yeah. I got back here.
Being a young guy, I go, fuck, I want to be the professional, but I'm just going to party.
Yeah, I didn't go as far as it's better than Lego. I sort of stopped there a little bit further. Don't forget I'm only a young kid.
True that.
I'm just seeing it for what it is and just seeing them crowd surfing, carrying on. And then a couple of days later, we went to the Civic Hall for the reception for the parade, and I was lucky enough to be in a car.
Yeah,
and then I'll never forget it. We're up the top of the Civic Hall. Chief's gone out. Everyone's gone out. There was only one person left that they didn't call.
Yeah,
turned around. It was me.
By really?
Myself. I nearly died. And then I think Steve Crow just said that you forgot one and just called me up. Thank God.
Oh, yeah.
But just look out there on top of that.
There's an iconic photo going around that must have been taken when Chief had the shield or something, and then just see the sea of people,
sea of red and blue.
And I sometimes you get it through socials these days, or you see it in somewhere.
Yeah,
and I think. You just look and there's not one bit of ground that you can see.
No.
And they were saying like, fuck, there's 100,000 people there. And even Robbie O says, I'm not quite sure if there's 100,000, but I was like, fuck, there would be 100. 95,000.
But don't forget over on the left, there was a stage getting fired up.
I know.
Screaming Jets were just about to kick off as well. So
because they were Newcastle band, were they?
Yeah. Oh, synonymous with everything Newcastle. They had the DNA
Silverchair. I think Johnsy, Johnsy and the boy kidnapped Daniel Johns.
Can't believe that. What would have happened to Daniel Johns that morning,
Oh, my God.
And then, so we've gone from the Civic straight across to this stage and obviously everyone's seen those scenes as well. A lot of crowd surfing, carrying on and boys have had a ball and I just partied on till, for 4 or 5 days and I think people party for a lot longer than that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But when you get through that now obviously you're buzzing. Now you're just going, fuck, I want the full-fledged grand final of that.
Yep.
So obviously going back, what position you were playing when you were obviously going back into the team? You were playing. When did you go to hooker? Because
98.
98. You
98.
went. Oh right.
Yeah. So Mal really was still here in 98, and Mal just said, "Mate, get in and play a bit of 9." I went, "Wow, this is pretty cool. This is totally different." But I could see the evolution of the hooking role.
Yeah.
It become a real focal point of attack.
Yep.
I went, well, he goes, mate, this is where it's going. You know, you need to be fast out of there, but you got to love to defend.
I've heard he's an amazing coach.
Yeah.
Like
Mal,
a visionary type.
Yeah, there's so many different things for Mal.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different stories for Mal. Like he had a fight with Steve Crow in 98. A full fight. So we organised it. Matty Johns, Evan Cochran, there's a few of the boys, a few scallywags. So full press conference, a weigh-in, training. This is all filmed. You got to get the vision somewhere.
I'll have to.
And there was training, there was interviews going on, and at our boxing gym in at Bank Corner.
Yeah.
We used to go in there, and I think Walt Bentley was, all these different things. It was so cool. And all the boys just lined up around the ring.
Yeah.
And, obviously made the big guard of honour, clapped them in, and they had trainers and all. And Mal's like, just put the gloves on.
Yeah.
Put on Crowy's like dancing around and all that sort of thing. It went for about 50 seconds.
Really?
Because Mal was about the elbow, knee, because it's just started a couple of jabs, and it got so serious. I think Matty Johns and Chief had to just step in.
Yeah,
Mal was about to do whatever he could to kill him.
Really?
So, yeah, he's a beast, Mal. And
right.
There's another one with about 50 metres underwater. All the boys are trying to do that in the pool, and no one can get anywhere near 25, 30 metres. Mal said, "What are you trying to do?" Give us a pair. So he went and got a pair of togs, as he called them. Put the togs on. Yeah. Just pushed off. Everyone was diving in. He just pushed off, and all of a sudden he's gone up. We're going, is he going to be all right? Is he going to be all right? A few of the boys are jumping in to put him off because they go, I don't want him to make 50 metres. And he's still going. He's still going. Popped up. Got the 50. His head was about to blow off. Eyes bulged out. But he was not going to stop until he got it done. So
wow,
he was a man of his word.
The mental, when you get guys like that, the mental mindset of those dudes, and then you think, fuck, when he's like that and he never gives up like that, then what did he put into you guys
100%.
into that game? So he's gone to you, this is where the game's going.
Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden, I've had I've had a couple of games there, and in '99, in comes Warren Ryan, and Warren Ryan is such an astute coach, an astute coach. So '98, we had a fair run at it. I think we got beaten Golden Point and a few different things like that in a long final series, and we had a really good squad. But in '99, Steve Walters comes to the club as well, boxhead. So a lot of people probably don't understand or remember that, but he was so good.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember that.
Yeah, he came for 12 months.
Yeah, right.
So I learned a lot off him.
Did you?
We sort of shared the hooking roles. He had a knee issue, so he didn't really play too much footy, but he told us a lot about what you should do in and around the club as well. Like we had a leagues club at the time at Adamstown.
That's right.
So he goes, boys, we're always drinking here. So he just made sure that we always go back here. He goes, how can we expect the fans to drink here if we don't drink here? So we'd always go back there. Obviously the Burwood as well.
Yeah.
We'll start off at the Adamstown.
There was some stories from the Burwood I used to hear.
Well, the Burwood, we ended up in our lounge room. The Burwood was an extension of our lounge room, put it that way. So we ended up there. But Boxhead, his passing game, he was a runner out of there. He was different to sort of like a Benny Elias, which Benny had the skill and the guile. And so the combination of that was the modern day footy player. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to be a part of that evolution.
I was going to say, learning off someone like that. Yeah. And going through with that hooking stage and learning the trade, especially you're still 18, 19?
Yeah, 19, just about to be 20. And then we come into 2020 and Wok had a squad that he's really comfortable with, really happy with, and the training techniques are totally different. The way Wok was all around the advantage line, different plays around the ruck as well, which obviously brought the 9 and the halves in. And he was ahead of his time, Wok. Everyone knows that probably still today coaches talk to Warren Ryan. I know Joey still goes for breakfast with him.
Does he? Wow.
One of the things he brought in was we come to training one day and there was big cards, like a metre card of a 10, a 20, a 30, all the way across the field. Yeah. And it's how to dissect the field. Like when you're in the middle of the field, there should be 5 defenders and 5 defenders. Yeah, when you're in 70% of the field, there should be 7 and 3. Yep. 80% of the field, 8 and 2. So that's the way you defend. And if they haven't got those defenders there, then you attack there. So all these different things, wow, this is pretty cool. So, and different things like how you defend and, you know, his different ways of understanding and explaining things. But he got a few of our players offside, which is interesting at times, just the way he spoke. It's just the way he was. And, you know, but just Joey loved him and everyone else loved him as well and learned a lot off him. And then it didn't end well in 2020. We sort of had a squad that should have went further than what it did. And then, you know, we got bowled out in the semi. Yeah. And I think we were up 18 or 16-2 at half time. And then we got bowled out in the prelim to make the grand final. That was probably the best squad we've had. That had Matty Johns, David Fairley, Butsy.
Some great side. Great teammates. So then we'll set up for 2001. Yeah. And then comes Michael Hagan. There was a change of coach. And Michael Hagan was a personality coach, a real good understanding of getting the players to be at their best and getting them to run the show a lot. Hayes had some great ideas in around some attack and just sort of obviously he had Andrew Johns at the peak of his powers and Ben Kennedy, Steve Simpson, Bill Peden as a back row. It's pretty cool. Matt Gidds and Tamana Tahu on a wing. There's some amazing names that were in that squad there, and especially yourself coming from Taree, but coming into that squad. Yeah. Because 2001, 2002, like they were big. 2004, 2005, they were massive years for yourself.
Yeah, they were. Without being greedy, Rich, we should have won another one. Yeah, you know, that was you looking back on those periods and go, how, especially now. I don't reflect too much, but I do reflect on that period. We should have won one or two more. Yeah, because we had a squad that could have done it. Yeah, and you look back, especially being in management in and around coaching now. Yeah, you know, what could have we done different? That's right. And you got the older head on.
Age always says, okay, what coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, but just we had fun.
I was gonna say.
But looking back, it's just a total different game now. Look, you go, geez, look at all the stuff they got now. If we implemented that back then, I reckon we'd had some more success. But in saying that, there might be some individuals that wouldn't have worked towards today. In today, you know, Joey needed to blow steam off. Yeah. A lot of us needed to blow steam off in different 100%. Ways. And back then, like I said, the Burwood was a big part of our makeup. I remember being in games where we'd go, yes, boys, 2 minutes to the 78th minute, 2 minutes to the zoo, boys. That was our set. So we just went up next. It was possibly the best offensive set of the game because everyone knew we'd go to the Burwood in about 20 minutes. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And some of the nights at the Burwood, obviously you can't say too much, but just some crazy times.
I just love Monday Club. We used to have a Monday Club. We actually done recovery there at the Burwood one time. We cut up, we went and had schnitzels and watched the game and go, right, boys, we've got to do this different next week. Yeah, that was good last week. We watched the video.
Really,
and used to see Joey icing up injuries and drinking beer, like having a shandy, you used to call it. So, having a shandy, icing up injuries. And it was just part of the way of life, and it wasn't as fully as professional as now, but at the same time it was very professional. But it was still a bit of room for some scallywags, put it that way.
Oh fuck, I could just imagine. Yeah, because I used to hear the rumours of the parties, but just Newcastle Knights and your names, Joey John's names, and it's crazy for me these days because I know you guys personally, but just watching you back then and hearing the rumours, you're like, fuck, they would have been the years. They would have been crazy times.
Yeah, Baz Bradley was the publican, and he became like part of our staff.
Right.
We had Jack Newton. We had a bar, like an area of the bar where the locals drank. We had an area of the bar where people that are new to the day, to the pub drank. And then we had us over in the corner there, and we'd have some fun, and then we'd do some lock-ins. You know, put a carton of White Lightning, we call that, which is bourbon and Coke, and that was seen as a party. So we could have because of the license, we could have a beer out the back. So that's what it was. And we'd get up and go to training.
There wasn't as much political correctness these days, like back then, as what there is today.
A lot of laws these days, but it become a part of who we were, and we played hard. When we played and when we trained, we'd go hard, but when we would also enjoy each other's company, and that's where, at the end of the day, it's a tribal game. It's a real ferocious game, and you got to enjoy those moments where you go through together, experience it together, and you got to, I think some of my greatest memories have been together after a great win where we've put ourselves through a fair bit of stuff on the field 100%. And you're having a beer with each other after it.
Well, it is like a release, isn't it? Like you got to have fucking some fun. Yeah, it can't be just all like hard.
Can't be. And we had one of your podcasts, Matty Hoy was always say, I think Joey ever first gave him his first ever Knights jersey. So
wow.
every time we're at the pub, every time we went to a game, he put that jersey on. So
I won't tell him what he said with that jersey last night.
Yeah, that jersey was on every time, and he'd just come give you a big hug. And his big thing was run the ball. You'd hear him yell that out from the grandstand all the time. Run the ball.
Anyway. He's one of the classics.
Yeah.
What was being in the 2001, like the grand final when you won that? What was that experience like? As like being in that, but looking at the 97 one, because you just experienced the vibe, you experienced what it's like with everything. Yeah. 2001 comes, because these years, what I've sort of seen and what I followed was big years for yourself.
Yep.
That grand final, was it exactly the same as the 97?
Yeah, well, look, there's a couple of points to be made. 97 was the ARL Super League War.
That's right.
So 97 grand final for me sort of saved a lot of things around where the game was going. And don't worry, Super League grand final was awesome as well. Yeah. That was a cracking grand final. Yeah. But both grand finals, imagine those four teams playing each other.
I know.
So I think everyone goes, let's marriage it back. We've got to get a marriage back, you know. So both comps were split, and we sort of, to really solidify that area and that era of Newcastle, we need to make sure that the competitions were combined, and that's how it was built up into 2001.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure that, in 2020 we got bailed out by the Roosters. That was a missed opportunity. We thought to really solidify that, you haven't won a combined competition. So to make sure to do that in 2001 against a Parramatta team that had this amazing year. They 800 points for, only a couple hundred against. They were the red hot favourites, but we had some really big game players. Yeah. So 2001, I also got my first Australian jersey.
I know, that's
Yeah, so
that's a crazy thing when you think about it.
So what happened was, obviously celebrated long into the week, the back end of the week.
As you do.
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. We had the ticket tape parade, I think, on the Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember what day it was. But on the Friday, I was on a plane to Port Moresby for a 2:00 game against the Cummels.
Yeah, right.
For an Australian jersey. So let's just say that was intense, very hot, and I was very dehydrated.
Oh, bet you. Get in the water, man. Hurry up and give me some water.
I think it was 8-6 at halftime.
Really?
Against the Cummels, and mate, it was hot. It was 30,000 people. There's people just hanging everywhere.
Wow.
The intensity of it all, and they were just coming in at all angles. And,
so did you really get time to actually soak, I'm playing for Australia here, or you just go, I'm fucking struggling from the grand final still?
It was more sort of the start of a tour to go over to the UK.
Okay.
But I had a game against the New Zealand, so that's sort of in the mid-year test.
Yep.
But sort of was my sort of second game, and it was just like, man, this is hard. This is hard going, but it was a great tour, and but we kicked it off there. Like I said, it was 8-6 half time, and then I think we put on a couple of young guns, which Mark Gaznia and Jamie Lyon, who just went round them. We weren't going through it. We weren't going through it.
No, not those dudes.
I remember big Rolsey, Jason Rolls, just went turn around. Someone get me off. This is crazy. You just the look on his face and he's saying, what's going on?
Sometimes those are the little memories you think of, and you just like their face expressions.
I'm going into dummy half. He's looking back at me going, what are we doing? Anyway.
Oh, man. So the 2001, the NRL Grand Final, then you get that for your debut, like in Australia, Australian Guernsey. You go to England off that.
Yeah.
Was that experience everything that you was dreaming of, thinking of?
Yeah, sure was. To do that with that bunch of players, and to do coming off a grand final as well, winning that,
taking that,
so
crazy.
One of the things about tours and playing in any rep scene is training. I thought that's the best thing for me sometimes is training, because you get to see how people prepare, you get to see what they're good at and how they go about their business at training. And Wendell Saylor, all those sort of guys, that just the chat and the banter and, just sledging. And if you didn't, if you drop a ball, she's on, like they're India. So you got to make sure your standard every time you train is high. And I never sort of took that for granted. I love that part of the preparation into those rep scenes.
Yep. And the mindset, like the belief in yourself, how is that progressing? Obviously, you just won a grand final, so the belief is like, fuck, I'm invincible, I'm playing a great game of hooker. Then you get accepted to Australia.
Yep.
And then I think the following year you made your State of Origin debut for New South Wales.
Go the Blues.
Yeah. So that, you must have been on, because you're, as I say, 2001 you're on the Kangaroo tour. 2003 you're back on the Kangaroo tour as well. it's all right when people see from the outside, they're going, oh, fuck, he's state of origin. You know, they don't think of what's going through your mind. Yeah. How are you doing personally, mental health wise, physical? Yeah. What was that time for you, like belief wise? Yeah.
I kept it pretty back in, like you said, I sort of 2002. We toured every year. It was a real to get the international game going, and the other thing I never forget it. There was a war. The war was going on in Iraq, and it was like, no, we're not going. It was like a big. Do you want to go or don't you want to go? A lot of players didn't want to go, and they didn't go. So a lot of us did go still. But so there's a lot going on in around the world. But yeah, my understanding of the game was that it was a game, and it always will be a game to me. Yeah. And I was pretty balanced about that. Some guys don't think it's a game; it's the biggest thing, and they take it a little bit too far, and all of a sudden, I think they can come crashing down. So I was always pretty level, yeah. And I always look forward to what was next. So I never dwelled too much on what happened in the past. But I was lucky enough with injuries as well. I didn't get too many injuries. I got ones that could get fixed up at the end of the year or after tours.
Yep.
So my mindset's pretty good. I'm just willing to be better. Every time I walked out to play or to train, I wanted to be better. And then, some injuries started to happen with Joey, and I was playing Origin, and all of a sudden I became Origin captain.
I know,
which is huge.
Fuck,
I wasn't even captain of the Knights, for Christ's sake.
I know.
Yeah.
But it just shows the respect that you had as a player.
Yeah.
And some sort of the belief you had, but that experience when they go, you're captain of New South Wales, because obviously to me, because there's not too many Australian tours anymore, which is sad.
Yeah.
They used to be the fucking best to watch back in the day of watching Mal Meninga run down the side, all those sort of things. But then State of Origin is still the pinnacle of rugby league, I feel, from an outside looking in.
The money maker.
That's the 3 games, as I say, I watch every year regardless.
Yep.
But then you're on that next level, because I've talked to a few, obviously, players, and they've gone, yes, this is, a different level, speed.
Yep.
And you can see the game now, physical, mental, all that sort of stuff. What's your reaction when they go, you're captain of the New South Wales side?
No, I'm not. I was just going, no, I'm not. I'm not like that. I just pushed it back. I went, no, I can't do this. And Gus asked me to do it when we all met together as a group.
Yeah.
And there was a few injuries happening, and to some of the guys that were probably captains of their team. So he said, mate, you don't need to change anything. I said, what do you mean you don't want to do it? I said, well, mate, I just can't believe you've asked me. He goes, well, that's ridiculous. He goes, you're what I want in a captain, and you got till the end of the day. If not, mate, no problem. That's no problem. Just move on, and I'll ask someone else. So it's pretty righto, punch in the face sort of thing. Went back in and looked around the dressing room. There was, Captain Craig Fitzgibbon, Andrew Ryan, Nathan Highmarsh. There was all these different, Ben Kennedy, all these guys that he could have asked. Yeah. And I went, man, he's asked me. And I've sat really close mates with Fitzy and Bobcat and Hindy, and so I said, boys, I just got to ask you a question around some captaincy. I feel it probably should be you guys, but I've just been asked. What do you think? They said, mate, are you serious? We'll do whatever it takes. Just do not change. Don't change anything. Just be yourself. And all of a sudden I've gone back to Gus and said, of course I'll do it. But I had to get over that bit of belief, that thing in my mind, and being that humble idiot sometimes. You go, well, no, I've been asked to do a job, and that was the end of it. I did it for
I think 15 times.
15 straight.
Is that still a record, or
I think
what?
it is.
I think there was a record.
I think 15 straight. But it's something I'll never forget. I still remember a quick story around the people you meet when you are captain. So Joey was injured, like I said. We went to Ravisi's, and Sticky organised when Sticky was captain. Coach, after Gus. He organised a feed, and some of the big hitters of town, and all the team was there. Up at Ravisi's, there was John Quayle, there was Kerry Packer. There was who else we have there? We had Jerry Harvey. It was ridiculous. There's a lot of people that are just businessmen
with a lot of fucking money.
And here I am, a boy from Tari, just sitting opposite Kerry Packer, and he's looking at me and goes, "For your injuries in the game, isn't there, young fella?" I went, Mr. Packer. Yeah, there are a lot of injuries in the game, isn't there? Yep, yeah, there is. And just saying, oh my God, Kerry Packer's talking to me. And he goes, "How do we get him out? How do we get the injuries out of the game?" I went, "Oh, mate, I think everyone's getting bigger, faster, stronger. You know what? We're playing a lot of games, a lot of footy. We're actually going overseas a lot. This just, it never stops. You just never get a break." He just looked at me. He owns Channel 9, so he wants more games, right? He just looked at me and stared straight through me and said, "Young fella, I'm asking again, how we get the injuries out of the game. And I just went, I went to water. Joe was sitting a couple of, what do you reckon, Joe? What do you reckon? And he just hit me under the table, kicking me, going, mate, Mr. Packer, he wants more games, not less games. And he goes, I'll tell you. Kerry goes, I'll tell you all, actually. It's 2-man tackles. He goes, that's all I want. No more than 2. None of this bloody bullshit of 5-6 in a tackle. That's bullshit. These 5-man carries. And I reckon if he was still, he passed us probably not long after that. If he was still around, it would have been interesting to see what would have changed, because
he had a good vision for a lot of sport, cricket in particular.
Because broadcasters at the end of the day change what's happened lately. During COVID, that was a broadcast. We want the game more attractive, we want the game more flowing and different things like that. So the rules that have changed, as much as the NRL ticks them off, it's definitely a broadcast issue as well. And Kerry was the most powerful man, and mate, I just went to water, just having this big man across, like from where you and I are at the moment. So that was a test of character.
I was going to say, 100%.
Anyway, it was awesome, and that's one of the things you do. You get to experience all those things that come along with it. At the time, you don't realise.
No, you're not really thinking, just flowing with everything. Eh?
Yeah, that's right. And then led on to that series, which obviously it was first. The Knights opened. Don't forget this, in 2003, the Knights opened Suncorp Stadium.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were in. Wow. We spoiled the party up there. So we had a great win. Yeah. We had a great win. And then Origin was a soft opening for Origin a couple of weeks later.
Very soft.
So that was the start of my when I had my head taped up, and I just knew, right, if you're going to be captain, you're going to lead by the front. And the ball kicked off. We kicked off. And it's always in Origin, the big thing is who kicks off, because you know it's coming.
Oh, man, please don't kick off.
Boys come back in, we kick it off, what are we doing? We're receiving. So we kick it off this time.
Is that really a thought, like when the team go, fuck, who's kicking off?
Yeah, there's a little bit because you want to really go, right, we're going to start with an intense set.
Yeah, just engage.
So you know it's coming.
Smack the crap out.
And the big boys that want to get their head around it, especially guys that are going to get the ball going, what are we doing?
Yeah. Okay. You just imagine back in the day when you got Chief going, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Oh, we're kicking off. Oh, fucking beautiful.
Yeah, that's right.
And
so
just to be thinking, right.
So, we were kicking off, and that was that one when I went down and sort of the ball bounced around, and Webke I hit him sort of 2 meters off the dead ball line, because it just, that's what that environment, that situation does to you out there. You feel like you can run through a crowd. And I'm like saying, Webke's 10 times bigger than me, 100, but I just went, right, here it goes. You're having it. And that's Origin. You think you can do things that you can't do, and you're only as tight as you think you are. It makes you go from an out-of-body experience. Origin.
Yeah, I was going to say, what does it do to the mind and the body? It just takes...
It does. You have that experience before you look up. It's 2 minutes to go in the half or something like that, because you just got to play and concentrate on every play, because you can be hurt all across the field.
I was going to say.
And going back to your question a little bit before about Origin and Australia, the highest accolade you can get is representing your country. There's no doubt. Putting that jersey on, that green and gold jersey, is the highest you can do. But from a pinnacle and a football and another world, Origin is just crazy. It's crazy. It's a bit of a circus. The media attention, the game attention, the viewer, the eyeballs. It makes a lot of money for our game, and forever. I think we're very privileged to have that environment and that competition in our game, because I reckon every other code would love that in their game.
Oh, definitely. I think AFL, as much as it's popular in Melbourne and Victoria and around Australia now, but I think they tried a state of origin there at one stage, but you can't do it when you got all the states doing it. But that state of origin is like an iconic game. Even American people who I know, who are wrestlers and all that from the fight game, I see on their stories, they tune in to watch New South Wales or Queensland. And that's a weird thing, because you're like, fuck it, that's how much it's reaching.
I know.
The world, that's how iconic the game is and how hard people realise, fuck, that's a hard game.
Yeah.
And Americans, obviously, a few of the State of Origin games that were played in America, they're like, what are these crazy bastards doing? They got no padding on.
It's mental. It's mental. And the last 5 years I've been involved on the coaching staff, which has been amazing. And that game 3 last year, 2022, it was mental. It was so physical, and you think, well, what's next one? I think everyone's starting to prepare after game 3 last year for game 1 in Adelaide this year in 2023, and everyone's starting to pick their teams already. It just shows you it never stops. And don't pick it too early.
Everyone's so excited.
I know.
But I think that was the third game, was when there was a couple of Cobbo and that got knocked out.
Yeah.
That's how physical. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Luckily for Benny Hunt.
So
save the Queenslanders.
Yeah. So to win a decider up there, it hasn't been done since like, I was captain, and just shows you, and that was a long time ago, a game 3 decider, and that's the thing that just irks you. You just, for them, you always go up there, and you think you got it done, but for some reason or another, just can't.
What do you think it is? This is a Queensland supporter. I love the Queenslanders, but to one of the greats of the New South Wales, what do you think is the difference? Because Queensland always, every year they get written off. They're never favourites.
Yep.
New South Wales pick their team. Is it because the media is majority New South Wales, so they hype it up to go, righto, boys, this is the team. Now this team on paper is the fucking best team we've put together.
Yeah, no, it's the opposite. So what happens is you get told that you're the worst Queensland team ever, and this is the best New South Wales team ever. And imagine being in that position if you're a Queenslander. And
that's reverse psychology, isn't it? It is. When you get to that stage, because every time I go, and I hear it all the time, New South Wales, you know what their fucking downfall is? They're always the favourites. They think they're the best of all. They come in, but they forget about Queensland passion, and they've been told that they're shit.
Do you think, and they love this, do you think New South Wales sitting there going, that's the worst Queensland team of all time? The players? No. We just go, what are you saying?
Yeah,
look at what is the headlines you're grabbing
but
here.
That's the added pressure, isn't it?
It is. The extra 10% that's all you need, because they're all the best players in the game, and sometimes it's just the mind, and it's the mind. It's 100%, the mind. It's all down to 100%. The mind.
Well, that stage when Fatty Vaughton is the great example, when everyone said, Fatty Vaughton, fuck, he will not win a game. In fact, I think they went through 3 blitz with her.
That's right. And
it's, next minute, the worst team in the century, or whatever they named it, and won the old.
But the journos love it because they know that it's actually poking the bear. And they go, oh, New South Wales are going to lose.
And I always thought to myself, because I'm not obviously in the State of Origin camps and all that, but I always thought from the media, just fucking pump up New South Wales, because whether the media owners or the contingencies own, like they're in New South Wales, the media poking the bear, so let's tell New South Wales got the best side this year on paper, and we're going to be doing it. And then Queensland seem to sit there and go, oh, because they get told that they're worst team.
Yep.
I think that's half the reason why they're so good, because they get pumped up, and obviously you got the Bennetts, all the people are going to go, this is fucking what's going to happen.
Well, he just did it last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did it against the Roosters.
The Roosters with Redcliffe.
He said, perfect. They've written us off, boys. And that's the under siege, the undermen. And we all go, here they go again. They're going to try to get the underdog tag. And that's what they thrive on. But we just New South Wales media will fall into the trap of just pumping up, because I think they will like it that way, because they look at it, New South Wales, Tommy Turbo, Latrell, which didn't play last year. They're the best players in the game. They got to win. It doesn't always go down to that. It goes down to the best team.
And the New South Wales media don't want to be going, this is the best Queensland side ever. We're going to get our asses kicked.
They should try it.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll see what happens.
That might change a few of the things. Hopefully not anyway. But
that's one thing off the field. That's a battle off the field. And this is what Origin's say. Good, because you sit down and talk about it for hours and hours and hours.
But we haven't got hours.
It always happens between the lines, mate. And, that we just get out-origined in a couple of plays, which are detrimental to the result.
Crazy, isn't it? Absolute crazy. So you do your 220 games for the Knights. You go to England. You've done your England stint.
Yeah, best time.
New South Wales country. You've represented every single team in the world with the hierarchies. What's been the best moment in your career?
Yep.
And who has been the best coach that you've been under?
Yeah, that's a couple of really good questions there. There's a lot to cram into that question.
100%. I know.
My time in the UK, I loved it. I played at Leeds Rhino, a huge club. 3 years I had there. It was going to be 5.
Won a premiership too.
Yeah, left here in 2008. Brian Smith, that was all good. He was taking the club in a different direction. So I was lucky enough to get a contract at Leeds, which I loved Leeds. Played with some of the greats over there, from Kevin Sinfield to Jamie Peacock, Rob Burrow, Dan Maguire, Brent Webb, another Queenslander playing over there, Ali Lauatiti. It just kept on going and going and going. Callum, there's so many great players I played with over there. Had some really good success. And then Wayne Bennett and Nathan Tinkler came back. Oh, sorry. Didn't come back. Nathan Tinkler got the club.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a whole other big part of the Knights' history.
Yep.
And bought the club. Wayne Bennett came back, and then he rings me up after I just signed another 2-year deal at Leeds to stay for 5 years, and goes, mate, why don't you come home and finish off what you started?
Yeah.
And it was so hard to say no.
Oh, 100%
so I started thinking about it, and Wayne's very influential to do that. And I really appreciated him even thinking of me to do that. And then, so I tried to make it happen, and that was hard to get out of that contract at Leeds. Gary Hetherington's a really good businessman over there. And ended up having to do a bit of business there, and I've never broken a contract, but I just knew the opportunity to come back. And if I was going to live here, to reintroduce myself back into the community. And I ended up having 2 years back here in 2012 and 2013.
Yeah,
so
and, pretty much been, when they say the 1988 to 2007 team of the era, your name's fucking definitely up there. Yeah. But some of the other ones, as I say, like the Paul Harrigans and Matt Gidleys, Mark Hughes, Adam McDougall, McDougs, bit of a character. And the Johns brothers for sure. Like looking at that, you go, coming back for those 2 years, and obviously being, I know you don't think it, but when people see you around Newcastle, your stature is, that's Denny, one of the greatest we've ever had. Yeah. That must be a bit of a tingle sometimes. I mean, you get it all the time. And
well, I don't really. Like I said, I've always kept a pretty balanced lifestyle. I'm pretty much a pretty low-key sort of fella, and I've enjoyed being a Knight, that's for sure. To come back, and to think that I've just played with all those players that you just in a Newcastle sense, let alone an Origin and an Australian sense, and coaches that have come through. Like, there's so many different coaches from the start to the finish. And you look back at when you first started, like, you got to start thinking about those guys as well. Like 100%. Bruce Wallace was my first ever coach of the Knights. I talked to Alan Bell a lot, who set the club up. Steve Crow gave me so many, he's a great mate. He gave me so many ways of loving Newcastle. Like, he's just a coal miner. I love what we represented, blue-collared town. I understood that through Matt Gidley, Steve Crow, Mark Hughes. Plenty of us just got that lesson from Crow about what you're representing. Then you had your Origin coaches from Gus to Sticky to Graham Murray, all different coaches. Craig Bellamy was a coach there, so all these different coaches. And then you got the Aussie coaches from Chris Anderson, Ricky again, and you had Wayne, and it was just they all got their different ways of taking bits of their masterfulness, I guess you could say, off them, and sort of absorbed it. So all those things, and you'd like to wish you would write a lot of things down back in the day. Like a journal back in the day, you could just remember half and go, oh wow, I remember that. And to represent Australia, Darren Lockyer was probably the most amazing player I've played with, because he could just pull something out of the hat and got us home sometimes. And then New South Wales was obviously Joey. So just say you've played with both those guys, who I'm sure there'll be an immortal on Lockie pretty soon. And Joey's called himself the eighth immortal. He's well and truly entrenched in rugby league folklore. He is
especially even though outside of football was a bit turmoil sometimes, but fuck, you can't take it away from him how great he was.
Mark Hughes, and this is the other thing, there's just so many things you go through, what Mark Hughes is doing for the brain cancer world, and with his foundation. But Hughesy and myself used to pick Joey up every day for training, and that was wild. So you just see the blinds come down sometimes. Physically, we had to go and say, come on, mate, let's go. We've got a big day today. This is going to a game, and just because he's obviously riding the highs and lows, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me talking about it. It's all in his book. There's a lot of lows, and you go, mate, you're going to be right. You're going to be right to play. He goes, fuck, I don't want to play. Fuck this, the other. And so you got to pump him up. You got to be like a bit of a, cool mate, we need you. It's
amazing how great he was. And then you look behind the scenes and you get told that you got to pump this dude up because he just doesn't want to fucking play.
I know. And then, mate, he'd go across the line, and even walking into the dressing shed, he'd go to his bag and throw it in the corner, and everyone just goes, shit, what have we got today? Put his shorts on, his white shorts, hated white shorts because they made his ass look good. What have we got? What are these fucking things on for? What are we wearing the blue one? Fuck these off. And then he'd go out and just have the 10 out of 10 game. You go, how does that even work? How does that even happen?
Just a fucking,
that's his happy place.
A genius mind, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be. And you're right. You look at all the musos and different guys that are geniuses in there.
Well, look at Silverchair now, like Daniel Andrews, So
that's right.
Doing that. So you finished, obviously, the last part when you announced your retirement. Obviously, wasn't the fucking most favourite part.
No,
getting hammered and knocked out. And stretch it off.
Yeah.
After that, did you lull into a bit of a fucking, announce your retirement because, obviously neck or head injury, you don't want to go there.
Yeah.
personally and mindset wise, where we at after? Because I remember seeing that game.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. Because
mate.
I think everyone was just in love with Danny Buderus, and then we're going to finish on a great note, and fuck, and boom, that happens. And I still remember that to the day.
It was a wild ride there. We had a great semi-final series. He had an indifferent sort of year. Wayne Bennett's second year, he's really implemented some great coaching. And probably people think Wayne's tenure here was this and that and the other. But
that's
from a coaching perspective, he's probably thinking that's the best coaching he's ever done.
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's a good conversation to have. But we had this wild ride. We were going hard, and we had some great wins on the way home. Went to Melbourne, beat Melbourne down there, beat the Bulldogs, and then all of a sudden we're in a prelim final in 2013 to make the. And I've had come off 2 back operations that year.
Yeah,
so
really.
I played a dozen games, but I was back for the back end of the year, and like you said, it was all starting to work out. We had 65 buses head to Allianz Stadium, the old Sydney Football Stadium. It felt like a Knights game. It felt like a Knights home game. We're playing the Roosters, who are a great outfit. And there, 16 minutes in, I knocked out, completely knocked out. And I still to this day, just, I might be washing up at home or freaking doing something where and bang, it comes back. How the fuck did that happen?
Yeah,
what was I thinking? But to Jared's credit, that's what happens, man. You got to protect yourself. I got him once, and then all of a sudden he said, no, you're not going to get me a second time. That's the end of me. Yeah, right. And
because everyone was fucking filthy on him too, wasn't they? Everyone come rushing in, fucking.
If I was to pick a teammate, you'd want him right next to me. He's a warrior.
A beast,
I love him. So, and that was the end of my career. So I didn't get a clap up or anything. I got a stretcher. I got a medicab.
Yeah, but that's different. Everyone gets a clap off. You don't want to clap off. You want to stretcher off.
No. I know. So what I was going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know. And then all of a sudden I got a job opportunity to sell sand.
Did you?
Business selling sand.
Straight after football.
I'll have a go at that. Yeah, I'll have a go at that. So here I am going to work. Okay, so how do you sell sand? And mate, you don't realise what sand's in, mate. It is
in everything.
It is gold.
100% it is.
So it lasted 3 months. Yeah. And then an opportunity to come back to the club and do different things, and started doing some coaching. And then Rick Stone was the coach, and then that didn't work out there. And then I ended up having 6 games as head coach. Got a bit of a bug, but the club wasn't set up at the time. And I start thinking maybe I should be a coach even now. Yep. Start thinking that part, but I just haven't. I've bounced around in different parts of the organisation, and like I said, I've been in the management role because of different strengths, but at the same time, it's not my strengths. The salary cap's such a beast. Never ever looked at doing anything like that. The amount of staff you have to organise. So I've taken this job as a general manager. Yep. Got offered to me. I was working for Fox in New South Wales Rugby League. That's right. I loved all that. Yeah. And I was always looking back. Commentary. And stress-free life. And all of a sudden, from the moment I walked in, you're dealing with drama. It's just all drama. Yeah. And then a week later, COVID hits. So I've had to go from 78 staff to 52. I've got all these rules going, what am I doing? I could be at Fox, could be doing this. And then all of a sudden I'm here in a bubble. Well, how does this work? So, outside of that, obviously, the Mark Hughes Foundation, you're big involved with Mark and the crew, walking, mountains and walking sort of different. I think I may be on the next walk from Newcastle to Sydney because I've done it last year. Yeah. And my old leg busted up. Yeah. It was crazy. It's crazy. Business-wise, you're also in the Steel City beer. Yeah, loving that. That's a good diversifying the interest, that's for sure. And it's going really well. And when we're in Series B, we're about to get a brewery hopefully and kick it off there. But we've got a good bunch. From Matty Hoy, the Johns boys.
He said 9 of them. 9 of yous are in it.
Yeah, Kirk Gidds, Ryan Callan, Craig Ando, the surfer guys. So the bolter whole world. So wow, that'd be awesome to do that. But
100%.
If we can do a little bit of that, we'd be very lucky.
Yeah, and it's a great name. Obviously, Steel City, Newcastle. Is known as the Steel City.
Yeah.
So if I was to say, at this point now, as you say, your career's been amazing, coaching, being a part of the Knights still to this day, and your business-wise, lovely wife, Chrissy, and all the rest of the life's going on. If I said to Danny Buderus today, what is your rich life? What do you think is your rich life? Yeah. What would it be?
Well, I don't go for much anymore from a point of view. This is one thing when I was playing, I was going for, I want to be the best at that. But at the moment, I'm thinking, what am I going for? And my rich moment is yet to be. I don't know. I'm still working out what I want to be. And I do get asked that, what do you want to do in 5 years' time? I don't know. But if I can live in the now, that's my rich life. If I can just go, right, this is what I'm doing today and I'm going to enjoy it and be the best I can and give my kids everything possible to have the rich life, I don't care. I feel like I've had a rich life already. Yep. So my rich life now and my rich life moment is living in the now, passing on to my kids.
Yeah. Beautiful, mate. Yeah. Beautiful. Mate, again, it's an honour to have you on the Rich Life Projects, and you're a character, but just a legend of the Knights, but a legend of rugby league. And I just appreciate your time today, man. It's I know you're a busy man, but
thank you so much.
Been a great day.
Awesome.